This is the Radio Button Network. And this is the new Ace at Large podcast. Now, your host, Ace.
You've probably heard this saying many times. You know, you're trying to win the war, not win the battle. And it's not always easy. Obviously, you're fighting a war with yourself. You're fighting a war with an addiction. You're fighting a war with depression or anxiety and all of these things. And occasionally, just occasionally, you're going to lose a battle. Well, I pointed out to you the other day, we can have bad moments, but we can't have bad days. Well, sometimes you're going to lose the battle, which is fine as long as you ultimately win the war. And I lost a battle over the weekend. It was a hard one. Went down fighting, but I lost the battle. That's okay. I'll give you an example of how you can lose the battle, but still win the war. And the most important question that I think somebody who is around you with whatever it is you're going through, the most important question that can be answered for someone who's around you trying to help. Because telling them how to help is a lot easier said than done. That and more. Today's Ace at Large, next.
There's more of the new Ace at Large podcast next. Welcome back to the new Ace at Large podcast.
There is one question that everyone who is around you, while you are going through whatever you're going through, whatever battle you're fighting, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it is grief, whatever that battle is, there's one question that is the most important question that can be answered for those people. And we will get to that answer because I was just asked this question by somebody on Facebook the other day. Somebody who listens to the Ace at Large podcast. So that is coming up. But just a reminder, you are here because, and participating and being a part of this Ace at Large podcast, you're here because that means you're not alone in whatever it is that you are experiencing. And let me give you an example of something that I experienced over the weekend that I think a lot of people go through. And that is, it is okay. It's okay to occasionally lose a battle as long as you win the war. And here's what I mean. For me, there's a lot happening in my life these days. Obviously, I'm newlywed for the second time. My mom has been living with us for the past 5 weeks. She goes home today. As soon as I get through taping this podcast, I'm going home to take my mom to the airport. She's flying home today. But my sister deserved a break. My sister lives with my mom and has her own family all at the same time. That's happening in Louisiana. And so my mom has stayed with us for the past 5 weeks. And it's been glorious. It's been great. But there's been a lot of stress that goes on around my house lately with a variety of things that we have going on. And add to that the fact that we just went through the 6-month anniversary, so to speak, of my daughter's death. And Monday made essentially 7 months because there was no 29th day of October. Monday essentially made 7 months since my daughter passed away. And over the weekend, quite honestly, I lost the battle. I tried hard. I put up a valiant fight. I tried very, 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 very hard not to have a moment of breaking down. And it just didn't work out for me. I don't know what reason it was. I don't know why. I wish I could pinpoint something in particular, but it happens from time to time to all of us in whatever it is that we're going through. I just woke up Saturday, and in my heart of hearts, I just missed her so much that day. No real reason that I can think of. I mean, I knew that Sunday marked 7 months to the day from the last time that I saw her. And I don't know if that was it or not, but I just could not seem to pull it together no matter how hard I tried. I made it through the day. I got up, I went to the gym, and everything was fine, but it was on my mind the entire time at the gym. And I just tried to put it off and not think about it and think about something else and, watch videos on my phone while I was, working out or whatever, and just try to keep things moving in a positive direction. And I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. And then I just reached a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I could not do it. I'm in the car. I got in Amanda's car. We were driving somewhere and I just couldn't do it. And I just fell apart. Sitting there in the parking lot of a store, just fell apart. Just crying. As sad as I've ever been in my whole life, almost, just crying. And I'm so thankful to have this person at my side who understands and is okay with what I'm going through. And trying to remind myself always that she's experiencing a loss also, because she and my daughter have become such good friends. She was supposed to be the maid of honor in our wedding, and she understood, and she was tearful, and we got flowers. And here's the weird thing when it comes to my situation, and I think there are other people in a similar situation. My daughter is buried 14 hours from me. So I understand that you want to go somewhere where you feel connected to the person. I get people that go to sit at a cemetery next to a gravesite and talk to the person. I've always understood that. I did it for my dad, and all those things. I've always visited his gravesite just to check on it, that kind of stuff. I understand that. And I don't think that is wallowing in the pain to go and do that. I think it's very helpful and cleansing, and you feel as if there's a place there where you are a little bit closer, more connected to this person. But because my daughter lives so far away, because my daughter is buried so far away in Louisiana, we don't really have that place except for the actual place where the crash occurred. And it's in the neighborhood where her mom lives. And it's a huge, big neighborhood. It's not like a neighborhood like I was brought up in as a kid that had kind of one street that looped all the way around with some circles and cul-de-sacs off of it. It's a full, big development. And the road where she died, the tree that she hit has been cut down. It's a road that's lined with trees on each side. And they cut down the tree that she hit, but still there, people drop things off. Her friends, her brother, Cade and I, my son Cade and I, we've taken things by and dropped them off there. And so we went there and left fresh flowers, which is so odd to go to. This is the site where she died, but it's kind of the only place that I have to go to feel a little bit closer to her. If that makes any sense. And I think it does. If you've experienced grief or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It's the only place that we could go. And so we took fresh flowers there and left them there. And I stood there, cars going by, and I'm just crying like a baby. And even later in the afternoon, for some reason, I was one of those days. And I didn't let it ruin the entire day. I was able to turn it into a good day. I spent the afternoon hanging out with my son. We watched a movie and everything, and it was all cool. But there were moments I would just get up and walk away for a minute because I just was overcome with sadness. And then again, I couldn't sleep well. I woke up Sunday morning. I had another moment Sunday morning. I had several moments all weekend long. But the point is, that's okay. You got to get that stuff out of your body. You got to get that stuff out of your system. You got to let those moments happen from time to time. I just refused to let that ruin the entire day. I didn't go get in the bed and pull the covers over my head and just lay there and think, oh, this sucks. Everything sucks. I tried to just somehow keep moving forward and make it a good day and enjoy my time around the people I was around and not make it bad for them also, because that's how this kind of rubs off on people from time to time. It kind of ruins their day as well. So there you go. Sorry. I lost a couple of battles over the weekend, but I think ultimately I won the war, and that's all that's most important. And it's important that the people around me understand that I'm trying the best that I can to not be sad. But they also realize that there's a part of me who is sad every single hour of every single day. And probably will be. And I think about it all the time, but then kind of, push it to the back of your mind, a little farther back in your mind. It affects everything that I do. It affects my ability to finish tasks a lot. That's been deeply affected by all of this as I've gone through everything. And I just feel like I'm kind of now allowing, I'm just now getting the ability to get myself refocused like I should be when it comes to, my job and being the person that I need to be and want to be. And that's just part of it, I guess. I've learned that people go through these things at their own pace, but it's okay to lose a battle or two as long as you don't give up and ultimately win the war. So whatever it is you're experiencing, if you've had a setback or something that's gone wrong and you just want to give up, the point is just don't give up. Don't give up. I know what you're saying. I know what you're feeling. I know what you are experiencing because I experienced it just this past weekend. I'm experiencing it right now. And I was just thinking about over the weekend why this podcast has become so important to me. And it was when I was talking to my mom. And that's really hard because my mom is one of the smartest people I've ever known. Very smart, extremely kind, very independent. Said it my whole life. My mom is my hero. My mom is the type of person I wanted to grow up to be. And now, sitting there talking with my mom, I asked her yesterday, I was going through some old pictures and showing her some pictures of Peyton and Cade, and we were looking through some stuff on my computer, and I said, do you remember a lot about Peyton? And my mom said, I'm trying, but I just don't. That's hard for two reasons. One, that she doesn't. She doesn't have those memories. She doesn't see these pictures and go, oh, I remember that time. And number two, it reminds me of just how fragile she has become. And that's hard. And, my sister does a fantastic job of dealing with all of that stuff on a daily basis. I deal with it over the phone with my mom. I deal with it when I see her at Christmas. I deal with it when I see her in the summer. I deal with it when she comes for a week here and there. She's been here now 5 weeks, and it's been a really enjoyable time for all of us just to have that time with her. But it makes me sad as well to know that my mom, this smart, independent, proud person, just doesn't have the ability right now to recall virtually anything about her first grandchild. And that's tough because they were very close. They talked on the phone. And she has a ton of pictures of Peyton up at her house, as she does with all of her grandkids. But that's just kind of slipped out of her mind because of the Alzheimer's. That's hard. And maybe that had kind of built up somewhere along the way. And that's kind of what I was feeling or experiencing a little bit on Saturday or Sunday, that added sadness, knowing that without trying to be too melodramatic, I don't know how much longer I'll have with my mom. But I do know that time is limited as far as what she remembers and can remember and conversations that she can have because, it's a battle that she can't ultimately win. But whatever it is that you're experiencing, just know, I get it. I understand. You're going to lose a couple of battles. The point is to win the war. I think about people who've gone through alcoholism and how many times you've heard them say they've been to a rehab or whatever because they fall off the wagon. They have to start all over again. But they keep starting. They lost a battle. They lost a battle. They lost a battle. Boom. Then one day they win the war and they go 20, 30, 40 years without a drink and their lives become infinitely better because they just kept fighting. Lost a battle, lost a battle, lost a battle. Bam. One day it clicks. And 40 years later, they're still fighting, but they're winning the war. That's all that counts. I think why this podcast has become so important to me is a way to win the war. I'm trying to win the war here. I've told you before, I'm doing this as much for me as I am for you because I'm just trying to win this war of it can't all be for nothing. My daughter could not have died for no reason. Some good has to come from that. And that is my responsibility to figure out what that is because that's the only thing that's going to make me feel a little bit better. The only thing that makes me feel a little bit better about this situation is the fact that somebody somewhere might get something out of this along the way and make their lives better. That's why we're here. So just know, you're going to lose the war every now and then. That's okay. Keep fighting. Keep battling. Whatever it is. The next time you lose the war, the next time you lose the battle, just say, hey, lost the battle today. Tough battle, fought hard, I lost this one. You know, the greatest baseball teams of all time didn't win every game. They lost some here and there. It's how you rebound. It's how you bounce back. It's how you pick yourself up off the floor that keeps everything going. Just know it's okay. You're going to lose a couple of battles, but you got to keep pushing forward to win the war. For the people around you, it can be difficult. They're trying to help. So what should they be doing? I got a question the other day, and it's like the light bulb went off in my head. Man, we should have already talked about this on the Ace at Large podcast, because a lady sent me a message, and I won't say too much about it, but regarding a family situation that was occurring, and there had been a death in the family, and she asked, what has been the best ways people have helped you? So in other words, how best to help? Now, this is my personal experience. Like I say every week, I'm not a therapist. I don't claim to be. I've just been through a lot of therapy. I'm just telling you what works for me. This could be a little bit different for everybody, but here, in my opinion, is the best way you can help someone if they're going through something. If you are like Amanda, whose husband now is still experiencing this grief of loss, what can you do for them? If someone's battling depression or anxiety or drugs, what can you do to help them? The number one thing I think you can do is just let them know you are there when you are needed. You don't have to speak to them about it every day. You don't have to constantly call them or stop by or text. How are you today? What are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? What thoughts have you had? Don't do that. That's tough. That's hard. Some of the best things that anyone has done for me is just letting me know they're there. I have numerous friends who, since Peyton has died, every week or two, I get a text message. Hey man, how's it going? Oh, things are good. About with you? Oh, they're great. Let me know if you ever need me for anything. That's all I need. That's it. I know you care. I know you're there. It gives me a little bit of a lift that somebody checked on me. But they didn't overdo it to the point where they tried to force me to have a conversation that I didn't want to have at that time. And that's huge to me. That's important to me. Don't try to make me have a conversation with you that I don't want to have right now. If I need you, I will let you know, because you've let me know you're ready anytime, any place, anywhere. And that's all that I need to know. So if you're trying to help someone, here to me is the worst thing you can do. What's wrong today? Well, what's wrong? No, I know you say nothing's wrong. What's wrong? Something's wrong. I can tell something's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. Come on, you won't get any better if you don't talk about it. Talk to me a little bit. When you start needling, badgering somebody, I'm gonna make you talk to me like this. Don't do that, because that only makes them frustrated and aggravated and angry, and that doesn't help them or you. And long term, it's going to hamper your ability to help them, because they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. So if you are trying to help someone work through something, what's the best thing you can do? To me, it's just to remind them regularly, I'm here. How are you? Let me know if you need anything. I'm always here. Maybe occasionally you send them a little note that says, hey, saw this today and thought of you. Hope you're doing well. Know that I'm always here in case you need someone to talk. And it could be something simple. Could be a book that you saw. Could be a meme that you saw. Could be very, very simple. But just letting them know that, one, when they're ready, or two, in an emergency, you are there. That's what they need. They need to know there are safe places they can run to when they need to, when they're ready. Because to me, that's the only time any of this is going to get any better, no matter what it is that you're battling. You got to be ready. Sometimes you just don't want to talk about it. Sometimes I just don't want to talk to anybody about what I'm thinking about when it comes to Peyton. Sometimes I just want to be lost in my own head for a little bit. Sometimes I don't want to talk about what's happening with my mom, because that's just something I would rather deal with by myself for the moment. What they need to know is that you are there whenever they need you. And they need to be reminded of that so they know that you're not going away. You haven't disappeared for 6 months. It's very simple. A text. Hey, I was thinking about you this morning. How's it going? Oh, it's going good. How are things with you? They're great. Just know I'm here if you ever need me. Have an awesome day. Boom. That's it. Just let them know you're there. And then obviously be there when they do need you, because they will. But the last thing they want to do is to be badgered to death about what their situation is or how they're feeling or what they're thinking or where their heart is or where their mind is or blah, blah, blah. Have you been sad? Are you sad? Why are you sad? God, shut up. I do not want to talk to you. Don't do that. And if anybody has any thoughts, if what you're experiencing, if you've figured out even better ways for people to be helpful, you have good ideas, please share them. Because I would love to have more ideas. We could never have too many good ideas about how to handle whatever it is that we're going through. Now, I did ask people for some questions, and it took a kind of weird turn. I don't know. We'll get into some of that stuff next. Hang on.
There's more of the new Ace at Large podcast next. Welcome back to the new Ace at Large podcast.
Okay, so the Ace at Large podcast has become something a little bit different over the course of the past few months. So I asked, okay, ask me anything on my Insta story just to see what types of things people might want to talk about. Now, some of these are kind of about the podcast, and others kind of took off in a very weird, unusual way. So let's see. I'll go through them in not quite in order because I'm saving one for the end. One said, how has the process of grieving Peyton given you strength? Well, this podcast has been it. The process of grieving Peyton has given me strength from the standpoint of, I feel like, I don't know if I am or not, but I feel like I'm doing something here that is giving some people some hope. It's giving some people a way of understanding that they're not alone. It's giving some people the idea that they can succeed, they can win, they can overcome whatever it is that they're up against. Because I've gotten some really nice messages from people. I get a couple a week, and that's been super touching. So it's the process of grieving Peyton. How has it given me strength? By doing this as much as anything else. This has given me a reason to really want to help people. And I think that's given me strength. Here's a guy that said, you are a big inspiration to us 50-something guys. Just keep it going. Thank you. I'm assuming that's because of my great fashion sensibility and my physical stature. I don't know what to be. What's the serial killer podcast Amanda listens to? I don't know. The main one has got some guy that sounds Australian, and he's a terrible reader. And she gets mad because I'm always like, this is the worst podcast ever. There's one that she listens to that's actually, I don't know the names of them, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. There's one that she listens to where people are still missing. And it's actually, I got to admit, it's pretty good because they do their research and they interview people. And it's pretty well put together. Then back-to-back questions. Are you and Amanda going to have any kids? Do you and Amanda plan on having children? Well, that's an interesting conversation because, yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm 52, have already had 2 kids, but she is 28 and hasn't had any. I'll be 53 in May. She'll be 29 in June. But yes, I'll tell you something that nobody else really knows. A couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to go and have my the surgery, whatever, the procedure, to have my vasectomy reversed to see if it works. There's about a 70 to 75% chance that before the age of 55, if they reverse my vasectomy, that it will work, that it will take, so to speak. And I was supposed to go, and I'd met with the doctor and all that. And then I found out on Wednesday, how much it was going to cost at the hospital. And the Acenator did not have that money. And I just, we just paid for a wedding, and we had this wedding party, and I was like, quite honestly, I panicked a little bit. And I called him, I was like, you can't do this today. Can't do this on Friday. Got to cancel. Reschedule, coming up in a couple of months. So yeah, I just didn't have the money to go do it at the time. And didn't want to put it on a credit card or anything, and because it would have taken me a few months to pay that off, and that would have been wasted money. So yeah, we will, hopefully soon, we'll try to have kids, because she deserves that. And then somebody asked if I liked butts or boobs better. They ask it in a less sophisticated way that I just phrase it. Are you an A man or a T man? Is essentially how that was phrased. And I would say, you know what? All good. Everything's great. Typically, I'm more of a, I don't know why am I even answering this question. This podcast has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'm more of a butt guy, but who's going to complain? I really don't even know. I got into answering that question. I was like, why am I even bothering to answer this question? So we've covered a lot of ground on today's edition of the Ace at Large podcast. And I've so thrown myself now by the fact that I even bothered to answer that question that I really don't know how to wrap this up. And I'm quickly trying to find my quote that I always use that I forgot to pull out. Let's just call it a day. We'll just call this one a day. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, things you want to talk about, things you want to hear about, I would love to hear from you. Love, 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 love. Anything at all that pops up in your mind after listening to the Ace at Large podcast, I would really like to hear. It's very easy to reach me. You can hit me up on Facebook. It's David Ace Cannon on Facebook. You can also find me on any Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Ace at Large. That's at Ace at Large. And I really do look forward to hearing from you and your stories and your thoughts and your ideas, and especially your questions. Anything you've got that you think would be great for us to talk about and would be fitting for us to talk about as we continue to try to work through whatever it is we're working through, that's what I want to hear about. And remember, no matter whatever you're going through, whatever you're experiencing, because you're here with us every week on the Ace at Large podcast, you're not alone. All right? We're off next week for spring break. The Ace at Large podcast back in 2 weeks. I think next week we're probably going to replay one of our favorite podcasts from recent memory that I hope you'll check out as well. All right. So God bless. Take care.
This is the new Ace at Large podcast. The new Ace at Large podcast will be back next Thursday.